fliko.
JD said, hey, Kenny, can you give me some tips on how I can turn my trap drums more interesting? Thanks. Get freakier with your patterns. Start swinging your drums or moving stuff off of the grid more. Try different sounds. Try weirder perk sounds. Try more sections in your beats instead of just one hi-hat, one snare, one kick, one 808. Have a couple different sections that do different things. Sicko Mode's one of the biggest songs of our generation. It's 3 different beats in one. You never know. Try weird, try different, try stuff that's against the rules or that you're not seeing in beats. Use sounds that right whenever you get to the sound, you might be like, oh, no, that's going to work. Why not? Do something different. Yeah, panning, someone said in the chat. That's also a good example. A lot of people don't pan their drums. Is everything right in the middle? Do you have any stuff that's to the left or to the right? I wouldn't recommend putting a trap kick or snare too far out of the middle, but when it comes to some extra hi-hat rolls and percussion and open hats and other things, you might want to start worrying about where things are sitting on the left and right on the speaker. Beats that have better drum drops and more arrangement with your drums, where you drop the claps in sections, you drop the kicks and the 808s in sections, you drop all the drums at the end of the bar. Just things to make the programming more interesting so it's not just the same loop of drums the whole time. Have sections that have bass lines and have sections that have 808s. I think that's a good thing for a lot of people. They feel like the only bass in their beat can ever be either one or the other. It can be this one big synth bass or this drill kind of thing, or it can be this one short 808. You can have multiple sections of beats that have different basses and different bass lines, and it's cool sometimes to have that Mike Dean section, as you guys call it, or a section that has a big Reese bass, a synth bass, a live bass preset, an actual live bass, and then a section that has an 808, or maybe they work together. Maybe the live bass plays in between when the 808 notes hit. Boom, boo-doo-doo-doo, boom, 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 boo-doo-doo-doo-doo, boom. You never know. There's a million ways to do all the things I'm saying, but I'm just trying to spark something in you. Put more sound goodizer on your shit. I don't know. Someone said, hey, Kenny, how do you check yourself to keep your own beats from being too busy? For example, my muscle memory wants to add a hi-hat groove to everything, but I realize sometimes adding too much can take away from songs' core ideas. To be honest, artists are the best common denominator when you're trying to figure out how to simplify something. When you ask another producer or you ask someone else's opinion, that's one thing. But the person who has to actually perform on top of that, if you're making something for an artist, I'm assuming, the person who has to rap or sing or whatever, perform, they're going to know whether it has enough or not. And hopefully, you know what I mean, they can make that call. If not, to me, I think you just build that muscle memory over time. Like you're saying, that's what muscle memory is. You just start to realize, like, man, there's a couple times where I've done this hi-hat thing before and it was too much. I've been in so many sessions where I could not believe how simple somebody wanted the beat. That's just the truth. Like, I've been working on something and I did an 808, I did a clap, I did a hi-hat, I have some kind of main sound, and they stopped me. Like, Rico stopped me when I made Smack a The Baby stopped me when I made Toes. I remember I was in a session, me, Murda, and Lil Baby were in a session maybe 2 years ago. And seeing where Murda stopped and how quick, like, Lil Baby reacted to just 5, 6, 7 sounds, it started making me realize, like, that added little perk thing that I have in mind, or that little outro that I want to do, sometimes, you know what I mean? Especially when you're in the room with somebody and they're waiting to get on something, they're waiting to perform. Sometimes, you know what I mean? It doesn't make as big of a difference as I might think when I'm making the beat. And that goes for even more stuff. That goes for so many layers. It just depends on the artist. Sometimes it's a lot. Someone said, what about Vince? Think about, so I did Toes for DaBaby, Lil Baby, Moneybagg Yo. I also did East Point Prayer for Vince and Lil Baby. Both Lil Baby features, but two completely different styles of production and schools of thought. The Vince thing, there's a whole added, like, instrumental section in the middle of the beat that has layers and breakdowns and all these things that happen nowhere else in the beat. You know what I mean? There's all these kinds of, like, textures and intro things and this and that, and it connects with other, like, moments in the album. You know what I mean? It's very phonetic with, like, the transitions and stuff. That's a whole different thing. That's not 1 or 2 sounds, you know what I mean, on top of the drums. But yeah, I think too busy is a relative term. Sometimes shit's not busy enough. Sometimes it's way too busy even when you think it's simple. It just, you know what I mean? You just figure that out for yourself after a while, or an artist or whoever you're working with helps you figure that out, I think.